What is up, YouTube? Welcome back to the channel. Panda here. Now, you might have seen a few of my other videos that have sort of given you a little bit of a sneak peek as to what this video might be about. And I know a lot of you are going to be really jealous, and I 100% understand. I get it. I would be jealous if this happened to someone else. In fact, I've been jealous because this has happened to someone else even faster in a better situation than how it just happened for me. But guys, we pulled another champion. I didn't record it because I didn't think I was going to get anything. I had one shard. There was no way with that one shard I was going to get something. But I did. Guys, I just pulled Soulless not that long ago, which is an insanely good Void Legendary Champion. He is amazing for Hydra. He is amazing for Doom Tower. He is amazing as a defensive arena nuker. It's crazy. He's so good. I didn't even have a chance to book him because I pulled someone even better. Now, you guys have probably already seen the other videos, like I said, but guys, I pulled probably the best champion in the game, or at least one of the best champions in the game, Krisk the Ageless. This guy is insanely strong. His skill kit is so good in so many different places. He has unlocked a whole new level of gameplay for my account, and I can't wait to show you what I've been able to do with him, and also give you a kind of beginner's guide to how to use him. And I know that that's a weird thing to say because typically Void Legos don't show up right away, right? Typically Void Legos show up in the mid game, in the late game, because it takes so long to acquire Void Shards. But I wanted to make this video because I don't think that my gear is that great. I think that my gear has a lot of room to grow. But I wanted to show it off. I wanted to show you how I've built my Krisk and show you what I've been able to achieve with him. So first, let's go over real quick basics. What does Krisk do? Krisk has an AoE decreased speed A1. Phenomenal. Super good anywhere you go. Decreased speed is a great debuff. He does amazing with this debuff in Hydra. It's one of the solid things that he does for Hydra. It's very good in Doom Tower. It's very good pretty much anywhere. Decreased speed, great debuff, AoE A1, we love that. Move on. A2, 4-turn cooldown, books down to 3 turns, but I don't have enough books yet, so it's still a 4-turn cooldown. It's AoE, places ally protection buff on all allies except this champion, and then places 15% continuous heals, 2 of them, on this champion for 1 turn, and we're not done. It also increases the duration of all ally buffs by 1 turn. This is an insane skill for several reasons. 1, ally protection is great for places like Faction Wars, great for places like Clan Boss, great for places like Hydra, great for places like Doom Tower, right? Ally protection is a great ability to have because it allows you to bring slightly defensively weaker champions into a team and still have them be safe because you can build Krisk very tanky, and he takes a good chunk of that damage. He also places 2 continuous heal buffs on himself, so he's able to heal himself for 30% the following turn. So as long as he doesn't take more than 30% of his health as damage from that ally protection, he's going to keep himself alive 100% of the time. So it's very, very good. He also increases the duration of all buffs on the allies by 1 turn. So if you have anything on them like an increased speed, if you have anything on them like an increased defense, now you get 1 extra turn, which makes it easier to keep a lot of buffs on your team that maybe have 4-turn cooldowns and only place the buff for 3 turns, right? So you are able to have more buffs active more often. Hopefully that makes a little bit of sense. Then we have the A3. A3 is a 5-turn cooldown. It does book down to 3 turns, but again, I didn't have enough books to get this fully booked yet. But it places a provoke debuff on all enemies for 1 turn. This already in and of itself is a very powerful skill for places like Doom Tower and Hydra. Remember, Krisk is our big tanky hit me champion. You have ally protection, he protects other people that way. You also have this AoE provoke, which will protect them from being hit in the first place. Very, very powerful. He also places an increased debuff on him and an increased speed on all allies except this champion for 2 turns, which does a couple things. 1, he doesn't get the speed buff, which means that he has that increased defense on him for longer, right? That's not necessarily a good thing, but it's not necessarily a bad thing either. But he also increases the speed of all of your allies, which means that your damage dealers and other support units get to go more often. This is very, very good. Now, typically what you see someone using A3 first. This is like a typical Hydra. You're going to use the A3. You're going to taunt that taunting head, right? You're going to give yourself increased defense. You're going to give yourself increased speed for 2 turns. Then the next turn, you're going to do A2. And this is going to place that ally protection, those 2 continuous heals, and it's going to increase the duration of those previous buffs. Which means that this defense buff and this speed buff are effectively a 3-turn buff. Which means that once this is booked, you have increased speed on everyone all the time. And you have increased defense on yourself all the time. It's a very, very powerful combo. It's very, very good. Super strong. We love it. Then we have a passive, and this is one of my favorite parts of his kit, Might of the Aegis. At the start of each round, you're going to place a shield buff on all allies for 2 turns, equal to 50% of this champion's max HP. You also have a 75% that books up to 100%, a chance of placing a 60% decreased defense, and a 50% decreased attack on the attacker for 1 turn when hit. Now keep in mind, we're placing Provoke, which means that this passive is theoretically possible to be an AoE decrease defense and decrease attack, which is super, super good in places like Doom Tower, and Faction Wars, etc. It's a very, very powerful passive. So guys, that's the basic kit of Krisk. Now let's talk about how you built it, right? He needs everything. Literally, he needs all of the things, okay? You want a pretty decent investment into HP. Most people have recommended anywhere between 50 and 80k, depending on where your gear is at. You'll see here that I'm sitting at 48.4, so I'm a little under that 50k mark. I'd like to be a little bit higher, but I needed to squeeze in some other stats. So unfortunately, we sacrificed a little bit on the HP, but ultimately, we're almost to that cusp of 50k. So we're very, very close. Then we have attack. We don't need attack. He's not meant to deal damage. We obviously have some attack built in, but we don't really need it, so you can skip attack. And then we have defense. Defense. He's a tank. Guys, you need defense. Most people recommend 3,500 defense. I was able to get almost 3,700 defense, and I think that that little bit of extra defense helps with that little bit less of HP, because he's going to still have roughly a similar type of survivability with the defense and HP ratios. We just get a little bit less of that shield every round, right? Because we have less HP. And then you want speed. You want him to go as fast as possible while still fitting in your team comp. Most people have recommended anywhere from 200 to 240 speed. I was able to get to 224. I thought this was a pretty decent level while still having these other stats on my Krisk. Then we go into crit rate and crit damage. You don't want crit rate. He's not a damage dealer. Skip it. Now, crit damage. Crit damage is a very interesting stat when it comes to Krisk. So there is a awkward interaction when it comes to ally protection. Unfortunately, we're pretty sure it's a bug, but unfortunately, ally protection actually multiplies the damage that Krisk receives by the crit damage that he has. So you want to have as little crit damage as possible. So you'll see, obviously, Great Hall, and Masteries are kind of unavoidable because you do want to go War Master, which we'll talk about in a little bit, which does kind of sort of require you to get this crit damage, but you also don't really have to at the same time. But this Great Hall is unfortunately unavoidable, because you're going to have other Void champions that you do want crit damage on, so you don't want to just not get it. However, this 12% over here theoretically is possible to not have, but really we tried to get as little crit damage as possible so he's not taking an insane amount of damage. Then we move on to resistance and accuracy. Now this is where it gets a little bit difficult. So you're wanting to put your resistance and your accuracy to whatever it is that you're trying to achieve. So I personally built my Krisk with the intention of using him in Hydra and a little bit in Doom Tower. And so I focused very heavily on resistance and accuracy because I want to make sure that he can tank the Head of Mischief and not get his buff stolen, but also he needs to be accurate enough to land his decreased speed, his decreased attack, and his decreased defense. So I aimed for 350 and 310 in the resistance and the accuracy numbers. Now this is going to depend on what you guys are trying to use him for, obviously, but that is kind of what I went for with my Krisk. Personally, I think this is a pretty solid build. I would love to obviously have more HP. I would love to obviously have more resistance and more accuracy so I can move up higher in Hydra, but this was where I was able to get. And it did require a lot of fine-tuning. It is also, and this is a point of note, it is also very highly recommended to get at least one Blood Shield accessory. And the reason why is because the more buffs he has, the better chance he has of being targeted by Mischief, and therefore getting, well, not getting, I guess, his buff stolen because of that resistance that we have. So I went ahead and put a slightly less version of a ring on my Krisk because it was a Blood Shield, which gives me that little bit of extra chance of being the Mischief target. Then we're going to go to Masteries. This is also a very difficult choice. This was the Mastery set that I went for. Under my head, I did just go down that full left side to go down to War Master down there. You can't see it because my face is in the way, I'm sorry. But I did get War Master. That is what I went down there for. And there are several ways you can mastery Krisk. It is kind of dependent on what your gear provides and what you need. So some people recommend going for Eagle Eye. This is if you're lacking accuracy. If you only got to 200 accuracy and you need that extra 50 to be able to be accurate in a certain game mode, going for Eagle Eye is a good choice. Some people recommend going for Unshakable to get that resistance. Same thing. If you are at 300 resistance and you need 350 to hit that next target, this is a good option to go for, Unshakable. And then, of course, people also recommend War Master, and this is because if you're focusing specifically on Hydra, War Master deals a lot of damage, especially if your basic attack is an AoE, which means that every time he uses a basic, I have 4 possibilities of inflicting War Master damage. So he tends to do quite a bit of damage because of War Master. Those are the 3 main tier 6s that you're going to see people aim for. There are several other masteries here that I do like. So for example, Master Hexer I think is very good. You get additional chance of landing the decreased speed, increasing the duration of the decreased speed, attack, and defense. Very good. Lasting Gifts, I feel the same way about this. It has a potential chance of increasing the duration of your continuous heals, your defense ups, your ally protections, etc. I think it's very powerful. Lore of Steel is just a very good set to have if you're using specific set bonuses. This gives you more speed, this gives you more base attack, base defense, base HP, whatever it is that you're using on your gear. So for me, it gives more speed, more accuracy, a little bit more resistance, etc. Right? Then we have Cycle of Magic. This is pretty obvious. You just have a chance of decreasing the cooldown of a random skill. It doesn't happen very often, but it's nice if it does happen. Those are kind of the main ones on this side that I do like. I did also get Shield Bearer. I think that this is very nice because we get an additional 5% on our shield that we get every turn. So in the course of 20 turns, that's, 100% additional shields throughout those 20 turns, which I think is pretty good. I like it. I think it's a very solid mastery to pick up on Krisk. All right, guys, so that's the basics of Krisk. I know this has been a long video already. I just want to show you one final thing. I want to show you what I was able to achieve in Hydra. So I did have some help. I want to shout out my clan, the Oath Clan, Oath of Vengeance cluster. They've been great. Several of them helped me build this champion. Several of them gave me different ideas. Several of them helped me actually with my Hydra comp. I also want to give a huge shout out to Educated Potato and several of the people in his Discord who also gave me several ideas on how to build Krisk. They were phenomenal. They've always been phenomenal. Definitely go check out that Discord and go check out Potato on Twitch. He's a very awesome person. I think I have his link in the description below. So great guy. So normal. I was like, you know what? I really want to try and get higher than normal, and we did. We went into hard. And you'll see here that we were able to get 9.6 million damage on hard. Now, I think that there's a lot of growth that's possible here, right? This is the team that I used. So you'll see I have Mishinaki and Geo as my main damage dealers. We have Solus as a backup provoke because Krisk is not fully booked and Solus is not fully booked. I needed 2 provokers to make this work. So I think once we get Krisk fully booked, we can probably remove Solus for somebody else to do a different role, like maybe another cleanser or something along those lines. And with a little bit of RNG, this team could be a lot better. But I wanted to kind of show what this damage looked like. You'll see here that Krisk, not being built damagey at all, did 1,000,000 damage basically just from War Master procs, right? He's got several AoEs. He does a lot of damage with the War Master procs, which I think is amazing. He also has a lot of damage reduction and lots of healing. Very, very strong champion. I think with where my account is, this is a phenomenal performance. I'm very, very happy with this performance. Being able to get the second chest on hard is crazy. I'm actually going to be getting 4 chests this week because I was also able to pick up 3.4 million on normal with just some random ragtag. So I'm only getting the second chest in both, but that means that I have a chance to get potentially 8 Mithrala fragments, which is crazy because you'll see here that I am... Oh, maybe. Where's my Mithrala? Hold on. One moment, please. You will see, here we go, that I'm at 52 of 100 Mithrala fragments. So we're basically only, with a little bit of RNG, we're only maybe a month away, maybe 2 months away, probably about 2 months away from getting Mithrala, which is a game-changing champion. So I'm very, very excited to be able to potentially get my hands on Mithrala and see how much more progression I can make. I haven't actually tried to do anything in Doom Tower progression because I've been super busy recently, but I'm excited to see what I'm able to do when it comes to pushing my Krisk in Doom Tower as well. But guys, that is it. I know this has been a little bit of a longer video, but I'm super, super passionate about this. It's amazing that I was able to actually pick up this crazy champion on my account. I'm super excited. But if you guys like this video and you want to maybe see some more champion spotlights, leave a like on the video and comment down below what type of champion spotlights you guys want to see. Or if you have a champion on your account that you want me to spotlight that maybe I don't have, let me know. I'm down to do that too. We'll see what happens. But guys, that's it for me. I hope to see you guys in the next one. Peace.